girls. I'm Priscilla from Jovem Nerd.
Bom dia.
Bom dia. Oh, so cool. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you. I'm Priscilla, and it's a great pleasure talking to you, Neil. I've been a huge fan of yours, so it's really, really a great pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. I mean, Sandman hit Brazil before it hit anywhere else in the world other than America. Brazilians were the first Sandman fans, so it always has a special place in my heart.
So I have to say that chemistry between your characters is just like, it's just so good. It's like a dream. I would like to ask, what is your favorite thing about each other's character?
I mean, my favorite thing about Lucienne is that she is the one being who my character has spent more time with than anyone else in his existence. When you spend that much time with someone, it births a love between you. And I find that connection, it was thrilling to bring to life because it's different to any other relationship that he has. In Lucien, he has someone who has seen everything that he has seen, and there is no stronger bond than that shared vision.
And I think for Lucienne as well, I feel like she really knows him. She really sees him. And I just feel like she knows him so well, and she knows the best parts of him. And that's what she wants to draw out because she sees that in him.
I thought about giving up, but I have a job to do, and I do it.
Kirby, you made me laugh out loud, and you made me cry my eyes out in the span of just a few minutes. Do you think your perspective on death itself changed a bit after playing her?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I did so much research into death and found out things that I'd never really considered before, that my idea of death completely changed. And I think that that's what Neil intended in this character, is to go, this is the idea that we have, and how about these other ideas? And I think that's what he does beautifully in his work, is he just presents you with other ideas, and then it's yours to take and continue that journey of research.
No, not yet, please.
It's time.
I ran to the comics right after I finished the series, and it was so similar. So Neil, how did it feel when you watched those same dialogues you wrote being brought to life for the first time?
It was amazing. And it was fascinating to me that we built different episodes that do different things. And some of the time you'll be watching an episode and I will have written all of the dialogue. I mean, you know, episode 6, there's probably 2 or 3 lines that just join things up that I didn't write. And then sometimes you'll look at an episode like episode 5, which is absolutely true to the spirit of the comic book, but there's probably only 10 lines that are specifically exactly the thing that I wrote in the comic, because we've done something else in order to make it television. And I love both of those things. I get to take an enormous amount of pleasure in all the ways that we've adapted Sandman.
Death has family, desire, destiny, despair.
Which one have I got?
Dream.
Rose and Lyra are like the human center of this first season. And in a world full of endless Lucifer, dreaming, and magical creatures, did you feel like you had a sense of responsibility of any kind by portraying the human characters?
We were cocooned, Priscilla, because we were filming during COVID. And also we were filming our episodes that are very isolating from the rest. Because, you know, every episode can be like a standalone episode. So we treated it, like at least I did, as actors do. Like whatever role you get, you're going to just focus on the human aspect of it and trying to give an authentic performance that is true. And we both were experiencing grief. It's beautiful to bring our bond together that we had on and off screen and offer that little relief of humanness in a show that's like loaded of fantasy and different emotions.
Is it harder for you to make like a whole plot fit into a single episode, or to take like an ongoing series with an ongoing plot?
They both have their pleasures. The first 6 episodes, each episode is its own universe, its own cast, its own, setting. There's not a lot of carryover between the first 6 episodes. And then in the back half of the season, episodes 7 through 10, it is one story, but even that is sort of a road movie, and it doesn't stay in one place for very long. So it was a challenge to make the whole thing Morpheus's story, right? Given that he's presiding over the entire series, but it allowed us to do some things that Neil wasn't able to do in the comic, and that was its own reward too. It felt like bonus content, you know, in a lot of ways. But I love both challenges. I think production-wise, it's easier when you're telling one story because you've got one set of characters and locations versus those first 6, which have, you know, somehow our incredible production team and all of our department heads rose to the challenge, and they made a movie every 2 weeks.
When the waking world leaves you wanting and weary, sleep brings you here, my realm. For I am the king of dreams and nightmares.
Tom, for you, what is the hardest, the most fun part about being Morpheus? You know, such an iconic character. And how was it finding his voice?
The hardest part was just taking it on in the first place. I'm such an enormous fan of Sandman. I care about it so much. And I, like everybody else, made the film of it in my head, which was great, by the way.
I'm sure.
And so genuinely, that was the hardest thing, was trying to wrap my imagination around the possibility that I could be this character that I cared about so much. The most fun thing was stepping into the world that they'd quite literally built. Unlike many productions of this scale, so much of it was actually built, and you could touch and you could feel, and you know, in hell, the heat of the fire was real, and the murals on the wall and the marble pillars as tall as you could see. So that was thrilling, and that was the most fun. All of these places and these characters that I had and held in my head was suddenly outside of my head, and it was just an exquisite pleasure and privilege to be able to do that. And then finding the voice was simply the advice of our creator, Neil Gaiman, who said to me that his voice is the voice inside of your head and the voice that leads you to your sleep and guides you through your dreams. And I think that that voice has to have power and authority, but also, and danger even, but must be seductive and, yeah.
I love how you're doing it right now.
We have business, you and I.
Get in line, bruv. Can't keep God waiting.
Jenna, you've been through multiple universes and timelines across pop culture, but I think Johanna is the biggest badass you've played so far, and I love her so much. She's daring, she's charming, and how was it playing her?
I adored it. I responded to her immediately. She's so compassionate in her heart. Everything is about keeping everyone else as far away as possible, and it's about deflecting. It's about kind of keeping armored so nobody can get close because the cost is too much. But I think what's really interesting is the one person who can get in and get into the place where she is at her most vulnerable is, of course, Dream. So it's somebody who doesn't want to be seen, someone who is technically hiding, and so what that means for that relationship between them. I adored her.
And Gwendolyn? Lucifer is someone we're supposed to despise, but I find her so fascinating and alluring in some way. So how was it to deal with this duality?
Thank you. Well, I think that there's this duality in everything and everyone. Although Lucifer is a fallen angel, so Lucifer isn't even human. Every character that I play, I think about it from a human perspective, what it means to be God's favorite and then to be cast out, and not just cast out, but cast down to hell. And really what struck me was a human emotion of shame and what shame does to people, particularly when they have to work through it. The degree of disconnection, bitterness, deep complexity, the contrast of emotion of being unable to actually have a relationship with anyone, at the same time wanting to push everybody away. And that was interesting to me. I wanted to bring me to it. I had no idea about this alluring aspect. And that is very interesting to me. That is what you found.
Also the wings, right?
And also the wings.
Amazing wings.
They're really great.
Your character is in charge of a very special library. And if you could, would you like to read your own history? Your book with your history in it?
Yes, I said this earlier. I absolutely love Lucienne to write her own book. I think it would be amazing because she's seen so much. She's experienced so much.
Have you ever had a dream you didn't want to wake up from?
Oh, yes. It's called the fantasy.
I mean, I can't, there's so many that I've had, and it's just like life is so good in the dream, and I don't want to wake up, so I will wake up and then I'll go back to sleep, and I will try for like an hour or two to get back.
I know. How many seasons you think it would take to adapt the whole comic book?
This is the first season, and we've covered the first 400 pages, which means we have 2,600 pages left, which means we could keep going for quite a while.
I really hope this hits the fan.
Honestly, I think you have to tell everybody in Brazil with Netflix to watch this, and then we'll be fine. And then we'll get to make it.
Yeah, that's so true, actually. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you
so much.
Great questions.